Hi, my name is Stephen Tingus, and I'm the host of Ideagen TV Hollywood, where we focus on diversity and inclusion with the added emphasis on disability. I'd like to thank Ideagen and its partners for making this such a important show. Today, I'd like to introduce my good friends Henry Butler and his wife, Leah Daniels-Butler. They are a dynamic team here in Hollywood, and today's show is about the work that they have done and plan to do when it comes to diversity and inclusion. You know, thank you, Henry and Leah, for joining today. My first question to you both is when you were young, uh, how did you evolve into the entertainment business and who gave you support along the way to be where you are today?
Well, first of all, Stephen, we want to say thank you
Yes,
for having
thank
us
you.
on
Thank
the
you for
show,
having us.
and thank you for always supporting us and our endeavors and being just around and being helpful. We want to thank you for that first.
Thank you.
But I think Leah and I both had like different paths. I think we've been married for 26 years now, and we've complimented each other and this business for years. I started off in the music business and ended up doing marketing and worked my way after Leah became successful in the TV and film industry and kind of like, and as records fell off, I kind of segued into that because I seen a way for us to take advantage of that and build platforms. Leah can talk more about like, or is the youngest person coming up?
I think how it started, I guess, how we first started in casting, or how I first started in casting, it just sort of, I was able to, well, not able to. Um, I interned, worked with Kim Harden and Jackie Brown. That was sort of my introduction into casting, and they mentored me throughout my career, and even still now to this day, I still, talk to both of them on a regular basis. They were very influential in helping me in my casting career early on, and then just as I started to grow in casting and just moving up like to actually my own casting company, it just was a natural evolution. In terms of, I think, our production company, how we started working together, it's much like Henry said. He started out in the music industry and marketing, and it was just a natural progression for us to come together and build our own company,
Tell
1195.
us a little bit. Tell us a little bit about 190. What a little bit about 1995.
1195.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Listen,
That's okay.
listen, Steven.
Yeah,
It's still confusing. It's
A
still
lot
confusing
of
for us. So don't. But
all
really,
right.
what 1195 is symbolic to the day we were married. So
Yes,
we felt like that using that as our our first thing together, like
yeah,
that would like this is kind of like our baby. Like we come from a mixed family. We have no kids together, but we raise them all at home. So this is really like our baby. This is like what we're putting together is to for our legacy and really for the legacy of like people in diversity and people that need to be included in things that are having problems and throughout this industry. Like we champion inclusion and we employ a lot of people in every from every group from the
LGBTQ.
Right, because I don't even know how to say it right. So she said, and Black women, we empower Black women. We have probably about 8 Black women and a couple of Asian women and Hispanic women working for us right now. We always champion helping and putting people in position to have opportunity.
Exactly. I know that's the strength of your relationship, is that you're really embracing diversity as much as you can. And, a lot of people in a lot of communities have a hard time in America. And I think by collaborating with like minded people, it only makes your effort together even stronger. So,
Absolutely.
I think that's why I love you guys a lot, is because, it is what it is as far as where we are in society, but what we have to do together to make it better.
Yeah, and for us, like we don't feel like we need credit for giving people jobs who are capable of doing those jobs. It doesn't matter what
Right,
race, what your religious background, your sexual preference,
right,
or anything. If you're capable and you're a loyal person, none of those things matter. Like, we don't personally go out and support any groups at all, because we believe in just everybody's equal, and we do it through our actions. We don't gotta go and post and do the things. If you come in and you look at our organizations,
right,
whether it's the Writers Mob, 1195, or LDB Casting, we are diverse across the board in every genre, every lifestyle, and we don't judge. And that has nothing to do with your capabilities or your work abilities or your
right,
creative abilities.
right.
You know,
And I think that's what sometimes what happens in the industry is that we become too aligned to one or two communities rather than working across communities, because like in the disability community, they tend to work within themselves. And what I'm trying to do in my effort is to work across communities, because every community has a person with a disability. And it doesn't make them any more special. We just have to realize that everybody has a capability. And so if you can, you know, um, gain from that and do a project that is far meaningful than any other project, then that puts you in a position of authenticity. So,
yeah.
I wanted to ask you, so where is 1195 right now? What are your plans for the future, since the industry obviously is in a new dynamic? What are your plans for this year?
Well, we have quite a few things in development. Um, we have a couple of television shows, 1 hour dramas, reality shows. We have a piece of intellectual property
Good.
that is a really, really good book that we are in negotiations for now to hopefully make into a series. Trying to attach showrunners and just really set the show up somewhere.
Yeah.
But outside of that, we have produced 2 films. We produced a Christmas movie called The App That Stole Christmas. That was actually out on Netflix last December,
Right.
and it was streaming. I don't want to say it was number 1 in the country, but it was definitely number 1 for a minute on the streaming platform on some capacity. And we've also, and I think you might know this already, we produced a film that we actually executive produced called Survival. It's a thriller starring Elise Neal and Dylan McNamara and Demetrius Gross. And that we're actually in the process. We're in post right now, but we are in the process of getting that sold to a distribution company. So those are some of the things that we have that are like sort of in the works at the moment. But we do, I'm sorry, but we do have quite a few things. That's on the production side, but on the other side, Henry could probably speak a little better, more, speak better to that.
Yeah, we also have a writers collective called the Writers Mob. You can go to Writers Mob on Instagram and see what we're doing. It's a collective of writers, producers, and directors. We create writer rooms for networks that not have like a full staff and not capable of hiring writers if you don't have the kind of money. We have a group of writers. Some of the people involved in Writers Mob is Bentley Evans, Karamu Kush, Preston Whitmore, Buddy Lewis. Like, we got some real like Chris Spencer is actually teaching a class on stand-up comedy, writing stand-up comedy and comedy speech writing on the Writers Mob platform. Bentley is teaching sitcom lessons. We have Sterling Anderson. He's teaching drama. So we have a whole like pot of stuff just brewing up outside of 195. We also have the Diversity Media Collective, which is a diverse group of people in the industry that we help find jobs and placements throughout the industry. Man, we got so much stuff going on, and the main thing with us is like, I'm happy to see that we're keeping other people employed and working, especially during a time like this, that we can be like a catalyst that God uses to help, bring financial situations to others. Like we get a kick out of that.
Right. Leah and Henry, I was going to ask you, are you aligned with any studio, like on a first deal basis, or how do you work with the other studios? Because obviously you've got something that is very important in today's society. Are you working with any studios in specific, or is it a project by project basis?
I would say it's definitely a project by project basis. And I think our main focus is right now is to create our content, help others create content, develop our content, and have to try to get it out ourselves. We're an independent company, so that's what I would say. But
no, we have some people that are partial to us and always look out for us. And I always want to give those people they props. A lot of independent people, Urban Flicks, the Walper Group. Those are people that because also besides us developing our own projects, we are producers, so we get hired like for producer jobs, like the After Stole Christmas, which was starring Ray J, Jackie Long, and Jancy Brown, and it was a real good movie. It was a funny movie, but we were hired producers on that on that particular.
All right.
So besides our own content, we even have a game show. We have a few game shows. We're developing and we're working real close with more talent than studios because talent are always looking for work. So a lot of talent come to us to help them develop their projects and get off, and also a lot of directors and producers. So we're more into packaging and then walking it in, whether we got to spend a little money on it ourselves.
Right.
We financed a couple of short movies for independent filmmakers.
Right.
And we're working closely with Harvest Studio.
Yeah,
too.
Harvest Studio also.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's what I say when I talk about my favorites. It's the Harvest Studios and the Urban Flicks. Shouts out to them being true to diversity and keeping people working. You know, Leah worked, and a lot of people know with Leah and her casting, and a lot of people do know. They didn't know at first, but like we take on jobs for people with no money or anything. We believe in the project and think it's going to push this project. Leah's cast stuff, you know,
Right.
fees, and you know we've put money in on people projects. You know, they might have been doing a $10,000 project, and we'll put up 5,000 for them and help raise the rest of the money or get talents defer. Like we want to see people, and not just when I and it's hard to talk about diversity without including white people, and because it's not, if we don't include them too, it's not diversity. Diversity is everybody. It's not exclude somebody else and add everybody else. So
Right.
For me, that's how I feel. I don't know how anybody else feel, but that's
I agree. And Leah's been around some very powerful people in Hollywood that are white. That everybody comes up differently. So the issue is for us as diverse creatives is to make sure that no voice is unheard. However, when certain voices, talk, with hate and all that, then we gotta just back away and work with like-minded people because it's about the message that a film or a TV series sends, and that is very effective in changing mindset. So I think it's important that our viewers know where you stand and what's important to you because that's a fresh take on the type of collaborations that we make. So my hat's off to you and the people that work to support you because it's important. So my next question is, Leah, in the past 2 years, what projects that you've been involved with have really made you feel proud? And specifically, as far as authenticity in storytelling.
I'm several projects that I'm, actually really proud about. I think when I think about just overall like representation and diversity and things like that, I think the first show that probably comes to mind is All American, only because they're really tackling issues, subject matters that hit all communities. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that, and it does. It represents not just I guess diverse individuals, but what's more current, what's happening in the world today, and how those actions really affect how we live today. Just how just the current things that's happening in the state of the world. I think that show is probably one of the things or one of the shows that I work on that I'm really the most proud of.
And I want to say this about that show, Leah, and where it connects with you outside. Leah, our sons play football. Like that story, she knows that story, so she can tell the authenticity. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, couldn't get it out. But she can, she see that in that show. We're working with that show. She talk about it a lot, and our kids talk about it, and our family talk about it. Like people that, they really talk about this show and relating to, we had kids that were integrated and went to school in Calabasas and had to deal with a whole different race and get used to it. So I think that's why you probably
I really enjoyed that show.
Yeah.
And then I'm trying to think of what else that sort of shows diversity. Oh, First Kill. It's a different kind of show. It's coming out on Netflix, but that definitely will be a show that will I think show that there is the show itself is not like your typical vampire show, because it is a young adult vampire show, but at the same time the way that the way it's written and the families that sort of come together and how they come together will show so much of real life stories, but in a supernatural world, if you will. It's really, really good. There's 10 episodes that's coming out on Netflix. So, but anyway, Felicia Henderson is the showrunner. She is not the creator. She's an executive producer, showrunner. Victoria Schwab is the creator, and it was based off of a short story. And she is a queer white female, and she wrote a story about a short story about queer vampires.
Oh my God.
And it's so funny because when I read it, I didn't even look at it like that, because you're just reading the script. And so it actually I think that just all the communities that they represent, not just queer, but the Black community, the Asian community, the Latin community. There's so many different diverse backgrounds of people that are going to be featured on this show. And it's seamless. It's kind of what Chandra Rhimes did with her movie, or her series that's on Netflix right now, that I am obsessed with.
That's good. But one thing I think that you might agree with me about is that it's a lot of weight to ensure complete diversity in front of the camera. Mm-hmm. But I believe in order to, promote business, is that we also have to think about jobs behind the camera.
Absolutely. I agree. I think that's an important that you say that. I just recently got an award that I actually broke the tip off the award. I don't even know this. I probably should be saying this, but I got an award for the work that I do in diversity in actors, and championing actors with disabilities. And it is really important because there are so many actors with disabilities who create and produce and direct and write, and obviously you too, just what you're doing here with this particular show. But it's important to have the representation, not just in front of the camera, but behind the camera as well. What I do appreciate is that they're not waiting. I think people with disabilities are not waiting. They're doing exactly what they're supposed to, creating their own and doing it themselves, and not waiting on Hollywood to, sort of give them a handout.
And Steve, we look at you like you work behind the camera a lot. Like you on the phone with us twice a week or so, or calling or pitching or introducing, and I want to, you were champion at networking and helping people.
Right.
So you need to keep encouraging your group.
Right.
And you need to be the face of your group and your hustle, because your hustle. Listen, Steve, don't never let nobody tell you get on your nerve. You just a hustler, bro.
Thank you, bro.
You know what I'm saying? You just a hustler. You know what I'm saying? For sure.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm honest, is, I might not make money, but if I can bring good people together, you never know what jewel will come out of that. So, That's why I asked the question to you guys, is because I could get a role on a TV drama, who knows, anytime now. But what's most important, I think, is to be an executive producer or something like that, or a show runner, because it shows leadership
Mm-hmm.
in the industry and fostering, development. Acting is great and it'll come to you when it's supposed to, but creating gives you the recognition and the respect that most of us, want.
Mm-hmm.
Hollywood isn't about glamour and glitz. It's a business.
100%.
Yeah. And Steve, you bought us some good projects. I mean, like honestly, you bought us a couple of good projects like that unfortunately that the other people just whether their business wasn't right, but you do have a eye or understanding on what's good or not. So I want to.
Thank you both. It means a lot because I don't want to bombard my close relationships with this project, that project. But if there's a project that I know you already would be interested, at least you can review it, you
Yeah.
know. And 99% of the time, individuals like you pass. But, that's the business.
Yeah.
So,
We get passed on a lot too, so we don't we you know what I'm saying, so we understand it. But you got to just keep going and no, and then some of the stuff you get passed on. That's why we trying to create these financial situations and trying to help, like because a lot of people like and when I say young, we because we start calling ourselves a young company, and we are a young company, but we're not young in the business. So
right,
so
right,
a lot of people that are young and what they're trying to do now,
right,
that's good stuff that people don't pay attention to, and
right.
that's what we gotta. I think more than diversity, I think that it should be regulated that that people just get an opportunity, like so many people a year or so many, like they should have they should have a fund for just like like they have they got $20 billion to spend on marketing all year. Take some of them funds that you guys are getting rid of and set up a diversity account just to do
Yeah.
diversity stuff or something like that. Like that. That's how I feel.
Maybe the three of us need to do a Hollywood Reporter article again and just say the truth.
Yeah,
And
and what I gotta say too, and I don't know if you guys feel like that, because I know Leah stay hard in the paint on this, but I really feel like I can see a difference. I know the whole George Floyd situation made a
yeah,
difference, but I don't think that that's fair to him and what happened to him to Hollywood to be able to take advantage of that. I think they should have been doing that regardless. Like, don't wait to somebody lose their life for everybody in Hollywood to feel like they're strong enough to speak up about how we being treated because of a man died by the police hands. I didn't
yeah.
like that at all.
I agree. I agree in making people poster childs for an issue. I think we're grown up already to have done a lot of this stuff prior to a major, incident like that. So don't even get me started on
Yeah.
that. But I
So
agree with you.
so to me, a black man getting killed by the police has nothing to do with diversity in Hollywood.
No, no, it's a social justice issue that should have been resolved.
Even if
10,
this man never got have nothing never happened to this man or another kid or anybody else. Hollywood issues is Hollywood issues. Police issues are police issues. So you cannot.
Exactly.
So you know. So you guys gonna do it? Give us a few shows that'll play out like you did in the '70s and through the '80s, and then play
Right.
it again. Like what's gonna really keep the ball rolling and keep everything a fair playing ground? And
Right.
when we talk about diversity too, I always got to go back to the Oprah Winfrey's and all these people that have made hundreds and hundreds and billions of dollars in this thing who preach diversity and able to set up programs and things for diversity, and they're not and they're minimalized doing it. They do it just enough to say they participated and not enough to make a difference.
I know. Yeah, well, we won't go there, but yeah, I hear you. So I just think we need to do the work needs to be on our shoulders, and we do it our way because we understand how to change things for the better. So
There's
you know,
definitely a lot of work still to be done.
Yeah.
it always will, Leah. I mean,
It's not going to stop here. This generation is not going to change the world. You know what I mean? And it's almost arrogant to think that we can. But if we can make a little bit of difference, a little bit of progress, so that in years to come, it won't be so difficult, you know.
yeah.
But it is, you know, I feel just, you know, kind of piggybacking off of what Henry said, it is definitely, you know, that is a social and political issue, or not even political. It's more of a social issue.
I don't think we can rely on the politics of the country. I mean, as a former presidential appointee, I don't think we should rely on the government for change. We have to make change at the local level. So,
You got to make the change at the corporate level because the
oh,
government don't.
exactly.
Yeah, it's not the government. It's the corporate. It's the people that's in power, and it's the people that's in power from every race that need to that's in power. You know what I'm saying? That's where it got to end at, and that's where it got to begin at. And when it end and begin there, it'll trickle down.
Right. Exactly. I agree with you. Corporate is the glass ceiling that we need to break and reform because, like it, I'm not going to name the studio, but at a major studio, Leah, there's no people with visible disabilities in the corporate hierarchy.
Right.
Nobody.
No.
And that's
where it starts at.
That's questionable. I
Right.
mean, you could have a African American lady or a male with a disability, and that would change the culture.
Well, Stephen, look at yourself. You was appointed by a president of the United States.
Right.
You can't be appointed by a president of one of these studios to be. You understand what I'm saying? To be on the board or something like.
Yeah. And that's why you and Leah are so involved in Hollywood with regard to relationships that you all have, like at Casting Society of America and other groups, is that you know what needs to be done.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I think being on the board of the CSA definitely opened my eyes about a lot of things that I wasn't aware of. You know what I mean? It really did. Like, I don't know. We made some strides, obviously, when I was on the board, but I think they're definitely leading the charge now. They're definitely trying to make up for a lot of the stuff that that was happening, that, you know, even within the CSA board and in the industry, they're really trying to make a difference. So I will definitely tip my hat off to them for that. And then I also just going back to being educated on so many different things. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't know that if I was not on, if I hadn't sat on the board for those, you know, for that term, that I would have even known that there was an issue. Do you know what I mean? It all comes with being just educated. I think that I didn't realize that, you know, actors with disabilities, I didn't think about it. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't that I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
I just didn't know to think about it. You know what I mean?
That's okay. That's okay.
And I think that with producers, even when it was casting, you know, I think you just you cast what's on the page. So you try to be, you know, aware, but you're not really educated on what is not being done until someone says, hey, there's a whole group of us that's capable of doing this. Why aren't you hiring us? And it's just like, aha, you know, it's that aha moment where you're like, you know what? Yeah, why not? And then it becomes a trickle down effect to so many other groups are being underrepresented, you know?
Yeah.
And another thing that I've noticed too, because I've been at the round table and I've been in conversations on both sides, and for all these diverse groups, here's the thing, we're having conversations. When are we gonna have results? And when are these people who, you know, like ourselves, who keep hollering about diversity, give them a solution?
I know.
When are we gonna what we want? That's what we want.
That's what I'm saying about CSA.
It's a difference, you know.
That's what I'm saying about CSA is leading the charge. They're not just talking about it; they're being about it. They're really leading the charge, making a difference in the things that they're trying to do, and have not just open conversations about it, but asking real questions. How can this change, and what can we do to change it? And and a timeline for when those things are going to start taking place. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So I think that, again, that's all part of first having the conversation and then figuring out what it is that you want and then putting it all into action, you know?
Right. I agree.
We have to come up with the solutions. We have to give them the solutions. And it's okay. We can't be offended because they're asking us for the solutions. Because a lot of people, it's more easier to be mean than to try to tell people I just don't have an answer. And a lot of this stuff, neither side have an answer for it because it's been going on for so long. It's just like in any relationship. It could be in a marriage with your kids or anything. You let something go for so long, you don't even know how to start by fixing it.
Right.
You know? So
yeah. Well, if you don't make the effort and let the system remain the way it is, you're never going to get results that should be developed. So,
right.
I think, you know, I think this is a good area that the three of us maybe can talk about and think about where we could actually, you know, get some directives and focus out there for results rather than having all these, you know, symposiums and roundtables and all this stuff. It's such a waste of time because it feels good. No, let's make change.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest though. Like one of our models is like, yeah, we want the big studios, we want to be involved, but we feel like that our answer is to find our own money and do our own stuff. That's what I feel like. I feel like that's our solution. Like instead of begging to be a part of something, a system that don't want you to be a part of, I feel like that you find it's somebody out there, some financiers, it's somebody, bro, who understand what's going on and understand that these people also have talents and and we should give them opportunity. I think
Right.
I think that's a big part of creating a situation where making them understand that we don't need you guys.
Right. I agree. I've felt it for the past 10 years. All right, Leah and Henry, I have a pretty important question here. You know, since the Oscars so white movement, and with respect to my community, only about 2.5% of the roles on any given project are for characters with disabilities. We still see 95% of those cast by able bodied actors. What is your stance on that, where we are, and where we need to go? Not just people with disabilities, but don't forget the Latinos and the Asian community is also underrepresented.
I mean, my stance obviously is that we just have to do better. You know what I mean? Yeah, we're having these conversations, and I think, like Henry said, that the conversations being had without actual actions don't
Right.
necessarily mean anything. I think we do have to lean in on a little bit more pressure on those content creators who do have the ability to write these roles,
Right.
sure that they're being inclusive. Now, listen, I'm not saying that we can't do it on our own, and obviously that's what the goal is. But for now, the people that are in those positions need to be held accountable for them, and make sure that they are doing all that they can to represent those underrepresented groups. I know that um, there are instances, and this is not making any excuses though, that if you might have if you're on a production, it may be a small budget, so they may not have the means to
Right.
necessarily have all what's in place for certain actors with disabilities. You know what I mean? Like, because there's certain
Right.
things you have to have. I
Right.
didn't even realize when I was at Sunset Gower that there wasn't even and there wasn't access for wheelchair users.
I know.
I had no idea until I actually had to audition them. And I'm like, well, how are they going to get up here?
I
It
know.
didn't dawn on me that they didn't. So there's a process that had to go through. I had to call the security. They
Right.
had to meet at a certain location. They had to walk them through. So it was like a whole process.
Right.
In person. And so that's not an excuse. That just means you need to do better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When you're on a studio like Sunset Gower,
I
but
know.
when you're in a small production and you don't have, the means, I think that sometimes people should take those things into consideration.
Yes.
But not excuses, just do better,
Yes. And you are doing.
Yeah, that's
You know,
great.
you are doing the work to make it better. But like I said before, it's incumbent upon us to set the standard. So anyway, I want to thank you both for your time and insights to where we are
You're welcome. Thank you.
in Hollywood. And again, I want to say follow Henry and Leah's company 1195, and you'll be surprised about what's coming out in the future. And I support you guys 200%. And I'm sure our viewers have a better understanding about your efforts and where we need to go.
Thank you,
Thank
Steve.
you.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you for always, reaching out to us and, reminding us and, keeping us on our toes. And we appreciate you too, bro.
Absolutely.
I love you guys. Have a blessed weekend.
All right.
You
Love you
too.
too.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.